Hey everybody, welcome to another Infrascale how-to video. In this session, we're going to be going through how to use the campaign workbook we've put together for you all to plan out your own campaigns. So first you'll see that we have a number of tabs. So we have a campaign overview, product onboarding, and then 1 through 6. So who are we targeting with this campaign? What are we going to say? When are we going to do these things? What is the email going to look like? What's our budget and the projections for costs? And then also, what are in general the projections for how many leads we're going to be creating, how many opportunities, how many new customers or new deals with existing customers, and what our projected ROI might be. So the first page is just a general campaign overview and status. So you can put in just a basic description early on of who you want to go after and what you're generally thinking about the description of the content. Also, a good place to list all the stakeholders. Have everyone's role, not just in the company, but in this particular project, listed out with their contact information so that it's easy to get a hold of people if there are last minute changes or tweaks, or if we just need to get a hold of each other. Then I also have a general task list and recent updates in here. So I've pre-populated this workbook with tasks that we all know are going to happen. What you'll have to do is decide who's going to be the primary owner of getting that done, which doesn't necessarily mean they're doing the work, it just means they're responsible to get it done. You put a due date so that everyone can see when to expect those things to be done, and also a status being not started, blocked, in progress, and done. The next part is product onboarding. For most of you, this may not be applicable, but if this is a new product and service that you're adding to your business, then you want to make sure that you have the product properly onboarded before you start creating leads in a mass format. It's okay when it's just kind of one or two at a time, but if before you do a campaign, you want to make sure you have all your ducks in a row. So we put together a general checklist by department of what you might need done. All things for training and technical training, we're here to support you in. A lot of the other things we're going to be mostly internal resources and internal processes that you have to define and clarify. Okay, so first thing to do when you're creating a campaign is to define who it is you want to reach. So not just the types of businesses, but the specific people and roles within that business that you want to reach out to. So you start off by creating a couple personas. So the first persona, you start with region. So in what regions can you provide service to customers? And so you can do by city, state, zip code, or a combination. Employee count. Some people use revenue, but I found that employee count is a better measure of the size of a business. It's also going to give us a better idea of how many machines are going to need support and how much data this organization is possibly going to have. Additionally, a larger organization, just by nature of having more employees, is going to have a bigger budget, so revenue may not be that important. Additionally, if you're targeting nonprofits, they may not report any revenue, and so you might find it more difficult to filter out a list based on revenue, specifically for those companies that don't report it. Industries, so put in the verticals that you like to reach out to. You could also just describe the industries that you absolutely don't want to contact. So set up industries by exclusion. So say maybe you don't want to work with government offices, you don't want to work with doctors or lawyers, but pretty much everyone else you're fine with. Something like that. And then the titles. Now the titles combined, well, really with the whole persona, but the title is really going to help us in the next step, which is to determine what it is we're going to talk about. You have to make sure that the content and everything from the subject line to the title to the description is going to communicate to people in these particular roles. Now, in a small business, 26 to 100 employees, you'll find that your lower level workers by title are actually going to have quite a lot of influence in any type of purchasing decision. So it's valuable to contact those people. If you're looking at much bigger businesses, it may be more difficult to get any traction with those low tier employees, even though they're the ones that are hands on with the issues. And so you're going to be looking at department heads and really generally the C level and the management. Beneath each persona is where you're going to record the list count you get for that persona from all the different sources that you have. So in working with Infrascale, we have a relationship with a third party named Market Intelligence, and we use them because it's just a terrific deal and they do a good job. So you would put in new contact counts from that third party or any other third party that you have. Um, and then you would also include your own. So how many existing customers do you have that would be appropriate to include in this email or in this campaign? And then how many existing leads? So known customers, leads, and these are generally going to be small. And then we get a total contact. And by seeing the total contacts, that's going to help us determine whether or not we're ready to launch. And it may also change the type of event that we do. If you're dealing with a relatively small pool of contacts, we may be looking at an in-person event for a best return on investment. If we can get a lot of contacts, we usually say at least 40 to 50,000. Then webinars become a terrific way to reach out to a lot of people and generate a good amount of leads. Okay, so you have your persona defined, and then you go to the what. What is it that we're going to talk about? Now, you should be used to brain dump ideas. This is very much kind of the creative part. Sometimes it helps, especially if you're coming from more of a non-marketing background, to first just kind of list out the values that you want to focus on. And then I usually need a kind of a discussion to bounce ideas back and forth as far as what are the main things that we want people to come away with after we're done talking to them. From there, you can come up with a general abstract. So the abstract, the importance of this is that you're looking for really a thought out description of what the campaign is going to include. What is the value? So the first couple of sentences would nearly be identical to the first couple of sentences of your email campaign, as well as to the first couple of sentences that you see on your campaign landing page. This is the hook. This is where you state the problem and the solution, and then you can put in more details thereafter. Typically, we like to keep it between 3 and 5 bullet points below, no more. The reason is because you're really only going to be able to count on people taking away maybe 1 to 3 things from the whole session. So you don't want to have too much in here, otherwise it'll distort your message in your campaign, and it'll make your conversions at every part of your sales funnel, which we'll talk about in a minute, um, not as successful, and it could distract and elongate sales cycles as well. So you want to make sure that your campaign, as far as what you're going to be talking on, does have a focus. And we've put some examples in here of what we look like. Now, the benefit of writing out campaign theme ideas in abstract form is that once you have the abstract done and it's wordsmithed and kind of nice, it's usually pretty short work to add another 500 to 700 pages to have original content in the form of a blog post or article. Additionally, you could use this to send to your marketing team and say, okay, here's the abstract of what we want out of our landing page, go. And then they should be able to take that, and that would be enough to come up with all the images and the layout and design and most of the copy. And these things can be saved. So oftentimes, we're deciding between, we have to choose one of 3 great options. No reason to throw those away. Keep a list of that so that next time you want to do a campaign, you already have these thoughts that are well processed and nearly ready to go. And a lot of times the last step is just going to be wordsmithing the title. What you're looking for in a title is something that's challenging. So for reference of what that means, take out, do a search for the challenger model in terms of sales models. But we're looking for something that's going to challenge people's knowledge. We want to educate them in something that maybe they don't know enough about. We want to challenge their level of comfort, which is very relevant in backup and disaster recovery and security, especially with ransomware kind of changing the way we approach it all. So you're looking for something to be intriguing. And this is going to feed directly into the email, which we'll get in later. The third step is once you get through the who and the what, you should be far enough along to start putting in some milestones. You may even start putting in some milestones before you get there. So maybe one of your milestones is to finalize the who. One of your milestones is to finalize the what. Very normal. The way that I have it set up here is uh, kind of a jerry-rigged way, but you show progress in 0.25 increments, and then you put the title that you want to see in your chart. But this, if you want to use this or do something in your own, this is just to keep everyone on the same page as far as what needs to get done by when, um, as far as the major milestones, and when is the event going to happen. Okay, so when those things are done, then we're ready to start drafting up some emails. Now, email invites and email marketing has always been difficult, and it gets more difficult over time, and the things that you do and don't do change month to month. One of the things that we found over the last year is that you no longer really need beautiful HTML emails. In fact, many people find that they get another couple of percentage points increased in open rates when they do plain text emails. So here, whether you're going to be doing HTML or plain text is a good way to at least get the subject line and the email defined, and also when you want to send those emails. So the subject lines, they don't have to necessarily talk about what it is you want to talk about. It could be the request. So, quick chat next week. So uh, it's a different style of attention grabbing, and it's just from a different perspective. Rather than putting in the subject line anything about security or IT, it's just, we liked a moment of your time. So quick chat, got a minute, these sorts of things. Um, and you can define if you want to do multiple emails based on the time to the event, you can do that here too. So when to send, starting off for the, less than 2 weeks before the event start date. As far as the body, you're going to want to try to keep the body less than 100 words. Short emails are good. Again, the first couple sentences are your hook. That's often what people are going to see in the preview. And then immediately after the hook, we like to put the registration link pretty immediately. You can add additional content here if you like, and you can keep it short, or you can just go straight to the who, when, and then maybe what, and put in some bullet points. It depends on your style and what you want to do. You'll also notice that we have kind of our offers, so the gifts and the prize giveaways. Of course, this will be based on the type of event. If you're doing a seminar, you're not going to do guaranteed events because attending the seminar, usually it's the food and drinks that is the guaranteed gift. But maybe you still have a prize giveaway. Once you draft up a couple of these, and then you can wordsmith it, and then this will be a way that you can prepare and make sure everyone's on the same page as far as which email is going to be used and when. Then comes down to budget. So the budget is going to be, both what you want to spend and then any other funding that you have. So Infrascale has a market development fund program, and if you have money from us, then you would add that in here too. But this is to make sure that you're staying within your budget and to see, what levers you can pull to reduce spend, or if you have still budget remaining where you can increase spend. Some of these aren't going to be used simultaneously. For example, if we have a venue, we're not going to be doing $10 gift cards. Will likely not. Um, we may not need a third-party list purchase if the third party, being market intelligence combined with what you already have, would be enough. Um, you'll have to see what it is that you would have to do in terms of spending to make sure we have enough contacts to make the campaign viable and to make sure that we're all within our budget. So budget is right here, and that's what you would enter. Then comes projections. Now, this is probably one of the pieces of uh, campaign marketing that most people haven't been through, and this is really just doing the math. There are, marketing is a lot of soft science, a lot of experimentation, A/B testing to see what things convert better. But there is some science, and some of the science you really have to pay attention to, like open rates, click rates, registration rates, attendee rates, conversion, closed won, and then average deal value. Having an understanding of these for your business is really going to help you project what amount of business a campaign is going to generate for you. And in return, that will help you show other vendors that, hey, if you help us do this campaign, this is what we expect to be our return, and you're going to be a part of that. And so it helps you in different parts as well, and it really helps just kind of scale out the program. If you don't really have these rates for your own business, that's okay. What I've done is I've plugged in some fairly industry standards and what we've been seeing and working with you all. But these conversion rates are more or less what you can count on. Table 2 takes the information that we already filled out in the Who tab, so how many contacts of new or known, and then takes these conversion rates and average deal values and gives you a projection of what you might expect um, given your current contact counts. Um, so this will give you an ROI based on the information we put in here of about 50,000, and that's with a 3,500 spend and a 54,000 total revenue. So this is the basics of putting together a campaign. You can get more complicated if you have more built out marketing processes and engines in place. For example, we don't have any calculation or assumption that we're going to get registrations from various social media outlets, or if you write a blog post and you post that blog, how many people are going to read that blog. If you have another mail list through, say, a local city of commerce, that's always great because they usually have a very high read rate, usually close to 60 to 75%. Um, so you can add into this as well. This is just a template to help get you started. And if you were to work with us, we would just take this workbook and work through it with you. So this is the same type of thing that we use. Of course, we customize it campaign to campaign. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact your partner success manager, and they'll be able to help you out, answer any questions you have, or you can reach out to me as well. So we hope that was helpful. Thank you, and have a good day.